Glad to have you join us again. It is the Business Breakfast coming to you from iBrandTV, Lagos, Nigeria. Now let's delve into the conversation for the day, and that is focusing on the Road Safety Week 2023, which is an annual event dedicated to promoting road safety awareness and advocating for safer roads and responsible driving behavior. From November 19th to November 25th, this week-long observance aims to reduce road accident and save lives by encouraging individuals, communities, and organizations to prioritize road safety measures. Now let's assess the importance of this to the growth and existence of businesses in Nigeria. And joining me to do that is Taiwo Folorunsho, a safety professional. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Amobola. Thank you for inviting me.
You know, when we look at issues about road safety, Nigeria is a peculiar situation. And I know there's so much to talk about today, looking at you as a safety professional whose core is transportation safety and safe movement of goods. Now, let's begin by talking about what road safety is in its entirety.
Okay, thank you once again for having me. The term road safety applies to everything you can think of in the road transport value chain. And it starts right from the conceptualization and design of roads up to the operational phase where the road gets into use, and even up to post-crash emergency response. So everything that starts from design of roads, building and construction of roads, the use of the road, and post-crash response in the event of an accident is everything that we term road safety, and all the measures that we put in place for each of those phases of the road use, from construction, like I mentioned earlier, to the operation and emergency response, is what we term as road safety.
So that sounds interesting to me, because it just goes to show that it's not just one person involved. There are a lot of stakeholders, from the construction worker to the person using the road to those who are working on the road. It goes a long way to show that a lot of people have to be involved if we're going to have safe roads. But let's talk about how important this is to businesses, because this is Business Breakfast, so we want to focus on businesses.
All right, accidents cost a lot of money, whether you're a business owner or just a regular road user like you and I. The financial impact or cost of accidents is huge. Currently, the data from WHO says that in Nigeria we lose as much as 80 billion naira annually as a result of road accidents.
That's a lot.
And imagine if you're a business owner in the road transport sector and you suffer that level of financial loss. There are some losses that, financially speaking, might become very difficult to recover from, and that might as well be the end of such businesses. And when you look at economic activity, it thrives on movement of goods and people. So meaning that if this rate of road accident is not brought down, the financial impact we can expect it to go far higher in the coming years. And contrary to what a lot of people think, that an improvement in road condition necessarily prevents accidents, there is really no much basis for that. And
really?
You can see that in even other parts of the world, because even in places where you have the best of roads, accidents still happen.
Yeah, but it's not as bad as we have it right here in Nigeria.
Yes, it's not as bad.
So it means that good roads, in a way, contribute, don't they?
Well, I don't want to say they do, but of course you have seen
we are the experts. So.
Turn roads into
Formula One
racetrack. What I'm trying to say in essence is, one, accidents cost a lot of money. Two, it doesn't boil down to just fixing the roads. There are a lot of components that go into making sure that the road is safe, and a big component of that is behavioral safety, behavior of the road users and the cost of using the roads.
Indeed, and I also wonder, because when you talk about businesses, a lot of those businesses do not even have insurance in place. And so when they go through all of that loss, it is solely on the business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another thing to look at, loss prevention and insurance. For many vehicle owners in our part of the world would rather subscribe to a simple third-party insurance, which many of us do just for the sake of meeting legal requirements.
So we don't get napped.
Yeah. Rather than looking at a more holistic approach to insuring our assets, which is a more comprehensive road insurance policy. But like I said again, insurance will only take care of loss. Our focus as safety professionals is to see what we can do partnering with organizations, NGOs, governments to completely bring down
Prevent
road accidents. And the statistics, it's really scary. The latest,
talking about statistics, you know, you mentioned the staggering one, 80 billion naira annually. That's a lot. But in addition to that, there's another statistics here. 4,387 lives were lost due to road traffic accidents in Nigeria. That's just during the first half of this 2023, just between January and June. Over 4,000 lives. And this translates to an average of 731 fatalities each month, or about 24 lives daily. Taiwo, this is huge.
It is huge. And I would like to add to that, and that is the number of reported cases.
As usual, we don't have data in Nigeria.
So if you look at many other cases that go unreported, you can be sure that these statistics will be even higher than that. And that should worry everybody.
It is worrisome.
We all use the road, so it could have been you and it could have been me.
But how critical is this issue? Especially, you talked about the fact that it's not a function of good roads that leads to a reduction in accidents. So what exactly leads to or reduces the number of accidents that we have?
Good roads play an important role in road safety. That is not downplaying its effect. What I'm saying is that it is not entirely up to just good roads.
Okay.
If it was entirely up to just good roads, we will not be having accidents in other parts of the world where they have advanced road infrastructure. And like I mentioned earlier, a very important component of road safety is behavioral. So looking at the behavior of road users and drivers, also looking at the states of maintenance of the vehicles that we have on our roads. We can have good roads. You can also have cars that are not roadworthy. You can have bad roads, and you can also have cars that are roadworthy. So it's a combination of many of those things. Behavioral issues on the part of the drivers and other road users, and of course the state of the vehicles that we use on our roads.
I see your point, because we have a lot of trucks out there with drivers that are high on opium. This is one issue that we are yet to deal with in Nigeria. How do we go about it?
Well, again, behavioral. When you look at the issue of truck drivers, I like to say this to people in this part of the world. If you look at other developed parts of the world, the trucking industry is a largely professional one. There's a lot of control. In our own part of the world, the trucking industry
is privatized.
It is privately run, but the level of control that you have is not that much. So this is what I mean. You can simply just buy a truck, get anyone to be a driver, and the person starts running your trucking business for you. In other parts of the world, you find that the trucking industry is largely more organized. The requirements that drivers need to go through to become qualified truck drivers stringent.
I don't think there's any particular training in Nigeria for truck drivers, except that of the driving school that you go for. Is there any other training?
There is. According to the requirements of the Nigerian Road Traffic Regulations, there are requirements for training and licensing depending on the kind of vehicle you want to drive. And we have the same for truck drivers.
And do they go about it, or do they boycott it?
Is it working the way it ought to work? I remember some years ago, I think it was one of these container incidents that happened around the Ojolagba area, where it was discovered that the guy driving the truck didn't even have any form of driver's license.
Because, you know, I was going to say that even for the smallest of the car users, many people do not go to driving schools before they get their driver's license, and they are not even certified good road users before they get it. So how much more the big vehicles?
I agree. When it comes to learning how to driving, many people, I was going to say, but I know I'm not a part of that field.
No, I'm not. Of course.
But many people in our part of the world learn driving in informal methods, right? Or a young child growing up, learning how to drive, picking up the father's car. And training to drive a car is much more than that. There is a lot of things that a person would be able to learn in a formal setting that you will not be able to learn in an informal setting. And I must say that the same thing also applies even to those who drive commercially. How many of our commercial bus drivers or truck drivers learn in a formal setting? Most truck drivers start as motorboys, and then they graduate into becoming drivers themselves. So the behavioral component that they would learn, the behavioral component to safely driving a vehicle that you will learn from a driving school, you will not be able to learn it from just observing another person.
But do you see a headway out of this? Do you see a solution? Because it sounds like a myriad of interwoven challenges, the way the picture you just created.
Yeah. There is a way out. The way out is for, one, all of us to decide to become responsible members of society, and for those at the helm of affairs to summon the political will, that we need to, recently we just commemorated the World Day of Remembrance for Road Accident Victims. And the key focus of that day is justice. When you look at many of the road accidents that we've had, we can't say that there's been justice for those who suffered any form of loss. People have died with people not held accountable. We've had family lose their breadwinners with no one held accountable. And when you look at a system like that where the justice system is really not, working the way it ought to, there is really no form of deterrent. We want to see people being held accountable for their failures when it comes to road safety. We want to see organizations being held accountable when their trucks or their vehicles are involved in accidents that cause that maim members of the public. When this begins to happen, it will serve as a deterrent to others. And
did you hear of the sad incidents of the 2 road sweepers who were killed on the road? These issues they are being swept under the carpet. You hear of cases of last mile officials chasing, private vehicle owners, and then it leads to the death of somebody. Nobody is held accountable. So that's why I ask you that question. How do we get out of this? Do you think we can? Right, okay, so I'm not trying to be a prophet of doom. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. But when you look at the whole complex situation, you begin to wonder, those who are supposed to be the ones enforcing the laws are the ones who are flouting the laws. Look at the last mile official flouting the law. Look at even government officials who break traffic rules, drive through one way, oppose traffic. It looks like a very, very
it again comes back to what I said earlier, strengthening the justice system.
Who would do it? The reason I'm asking you this question, you're the expert here. The reason I'm asking you these questions is, if we are saying that we need to enforce the law, who are the people who will do it? Are they not the ones flouting the law? If we say that we need to, maybe legislate and maybe enact some laws that need to serve as deterrent to people, who are the people who should do this? Aren't they also culpable? Where do we start from?
Okay, remember I mentioned earlier, our problem in this part of the world is not so much the absence of laws, rather than the courage that we need to enforce the laws. And we have all seen in different parts of our society, aspect of our lives before, where we have one individual come to the helm of affairs in the place, and the person takes the bull by the horn. When we see such, it tells us that there is hope. We only need to have the right, square pegs and square holes, and not have people who have no clue at the helm of affairs. If you have individuals who are appointed into positions as a way of rewarding political loyalty, it's impossible to have systems that will thrive. The law must work in such a way that everybody is treated equally. So if a person flouts the law, the penalty that the person gets is the same, irrespective of their social standing in society. Now, going back to the issue of how we enforce laws, again, this boils down to the mindset and method for implementing our laws. If we have government agencies that are manned by people who are just given jobs as a way to reward their political loyalty, it will show in how they execute the job. For example, why do we have to always physically resort to manually bringing people to book when we can implement technologies that can help us track traffic offenders? And I think Lagos is already doing something in that line. It is completely barbaric to try to wrestle control of a vehicle from a traffic offender in the name of trying to bring the person to book, because that itself is
was still chase the person down the road.
That is what we saw with those who paid the ultimate price with the accident we saw the last time.
It is really sad. But let's talk about Seral Safety. What is Seral Safety doing in regard to all of this?
Okay, we are a full-service safety training and consultancy outfit, and our clients are organizations that pay attention to their safety risk management. What we're setting out to do with road safety is to work with organizations with like minds, NGOs, government organizations. Recently, we had a training on the transport of dangerous goods sometime last year. And we had
when you say dangerous goods, what are you talking about?
Okay,
because of course
that's a whole subject of discourse.
No, just a brief.
Dangerous goods refers to hazardous materials. That's a more generic
like
term.
Fuel.
Yeah, that can constitute risk to the means of transport or to people if they are not properly handled during transport. And the most commonly being transported in a part of the world being petrol products. Yeah.
It's sad that we have not gotten to a place where we can say that petroleum is being safely transported in Nigeria. So talk to us about the trainings that are necessary for organizations, because I'm more interested in, I know that safety experts always look at prevention. They always talk about prevention. And to prevent things like this, you need knowledge. You need to understand what to do. What are the training measures or the training programs available for companies or for organizations?
Well, for organizations that have a major transport risk.
Like Dangote refinery, sorry, not refineries, Dangote cement,
A good place to start is to establish your road transport safety management system. And what that seeks to do is to establish all your formal arrangements, starting from your transport safety policies, your organizational roles and responsibilities, your organizational controls, and then we'll now look at issues of training. And starting from, even before we talk about training, we'll look at your driver selection program. Who and who is qualified to drive a company vehicle. There are a lot of companies.
Do you do some form of assessment of the driver
training assessment? In many organizations today, who want to up their safety game, they look beyond the person just having the minimum driver's license. They implement their own in-house driver training and assessment program. To make sure that you are up to speed and that you are continually able to operate their vehicles in a safe manner. So there are so many trainings that are available for such organizations, starting with the basics, road safety awareness, defensive driving training, and then for those who are involved in the transport of hazardous materials, tanker drivers, like you mentioned, according to the requirements of the UNEC agreement on the transport of dangerous goods by road, drivers are supposed to receive training. Such organizations are also supposed to have their own in-house dangerous goods safety advisors, whose responsibility it will be to help the organization to meet all the legal requirements surrounding the transport of such materials.
Now, in wrapping up, this Road Safety Week of 2023 is not getting as much attention as it should. And I'm wondering, are we really serious about tackling or dealing with this issue headlong? You talked about earlier the World Day for the remembrance of road safety, road accident victims. That didn't get as much traction as one would expect. Where are we, and what's your concluding thought? How do you think, what are the steps you think we should take in the nearest future, especially to create more awareness, sensitize people about these issues?
Well, I would say that based on my own knowledge, I saw a bit of activity here and there. And this is where, again,
you think the activities were enough? You think we had enough attention?
There's always room for improvement, which is why I was going to say that we'll also be relying on individuals, organizations that have the means to reach a wide range of people, like organizations like yourself, to provide that platform for raising public awareness, and also looking at organizations that we can partner with to drive the awareness of such days and weeks, to just get out there, educate people, let them know the risk involved, the things that can go wrong, and leverage on every platform available. Like I mentioned, organizations like yours, the media, coming on board with every program available, and also reaching out a lot more to organizations in the enforcement space, like the Ministries of Transport and Federal Road Safety, to put together events for subsequent years.
Oh, well, that's a fine place to live in. Thank you so much, Taiwo Folorunsho. Taiwo Folorunsho is a safety professional and CEO, Seral Safety. He's been talking to us about the Road Safety Week, and we hope that more attention is given to this sector, especially looking at the transportation of dangerous goods and ensuring that the road is safe, not just for the road users, but also for everyone who has anything to do, with the road. This is where we'll wrap up Business Breakfast today. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. My name is Omobolanli Adeshui. Have a great day. Bye for now.